What's going on, people? My name is George, and this is Back to Chess, a new creative endeavour that I'm starting. Where the first series is going to be a speed run from all the way from beginner up to about 1700 rapid rating on chess.com, which is roughly where I sit as an intermediate on chess.com right now. I am by no means a master level player of chess. I know how to play. I can play pretty well. I've been playing for a few years. Um, the Queen's Gambit was what got me in, so I feel like I can relate to a lot of people who will maybe eventually watch this. Pretty new to the chess world, but I'm addicted to chess, and I play a lot of chess, and I watch chess content every day, and I thought it would be fun to make my own. So yeah, this is going to be a speed run, like I said, from around 400 elo up to about 1700, I think, as long as we can get back to where I am on my own account. And yeah, the way it's going to work is I'm just going to play some 10-minute games. I've made a new account on chess.com. I bought the Platinum membership, so I'm now accountable to myself, and it means I will more than likely be motivated to keep on making these videos. And yeah, hopefully make one every day or every 2 days. I'm from the UK, but currently I'm actually in India, which is why you have this super weird red background. And I'm also recording on my laptop, and I'm recording the audio on my AirPods, so production is not the cleanest, but hopefully one day we'll level up and it'll be clean and crisp. So I guess without any further ado, let's play some chess. Okay, so you didn't see that, but with the power of editing, I played 5 games real quickly, lost on purpose to get a rating, and now we are rated 254, so right at the bottom. I've started a rapid game, and yeah, it says I'm from India. It's because I'm in India, not from India. Okay, so we need to play our first move. Okay, first move, basic principles, controller center. Either this one or this one. Let's play. Okay, let's play the most popular move, 1e4, and let's see what Mr. Hector Collette does. Okay, plays e5, so usually what I do is play this move and go into some Vienna, but I feel like at this level it would make more sense to play the most common move, which is knight to f3, attacking this pawn, and he can defend it a few ways. He can play a knight here, here, push the pawn to this square. You can put the bishop here. This is bad because you're blocking this pawn, which inherently blocks in his bishop. If he pushes his pawn, he blocks in his bishop. So the most common move and the best move is to put the knight in this square, defending the pawn. And our plan currently, okay, it doesn't defend the pawn. And I guess we should be merciless. This bishop comes to this square, aims at f2, which means his pawn is free. So if we take it, he might move his queen here and hit this square, threatening checkmate and hitting the knight. But it looks like we lose the knight because we have to defend checkmate, but what we can do is bring the knight back. So take this, he might go here, and we come back. And we win a pawn and mate is defended. So let's see what he does. He could play queen h4, doing the same thing. Okay, he doesn't. He moves the bishop back. Just thinking maybe queen h4 was a bit stronger because it threatens checkmate and hits his pawn. But I guess we could have just gone to here with the queen. So okay, but he moved his bishop back. So we could defend it, but then he can take, and we double pawns. Let's just bring the knight back. Sacrifice is a bit pointless. Opens the king, sure, but we have no other pieces in the game. So coming back here, it's the bishop maybe. Gets in the way of this bishop though. So let's just bring the knight back. Okay, and I'm spending time explaining the moves, but I think it's more important just to play natural moves and we can analyse after as well. So I don't want to be too low on time. So currently, okay, so he attacks the pawn. We could push it forward, to be fair, hitting both, and it's a fork, defended by the knights, but then he'll go queen here. Can't take because the pawn will be pinned to the king. But then we can put the queen here, blocks that and reinforces the fork. So let's just check there's no other way to, no, so we go like this, attack both pieces, defended by the knight, so if he takes, we take with the knight. He can go here and stop us taking, but then we can put the queen here. And it blocks the queen's vision to the king, and we reinforce this threat. Okay, he just takes it, so we go here. He can now go here and pin this to the king, but then we can just put the queen here, block the pin. Okay, he doesn't do that. And now what should we do? We can play this move, d4. Yeah, let's play d4. You can put the knight in the middle, but I think it's just important for us to get our pieces out. Check doesn't do anything because it can block. We can go here. Let's just play d4. You can. No, he can't. He can't put the bishop here because we just take it. Knight takes, queen takes. Yeah, he moves a knight here, but I don't think this is really much of a problem. We can even go queen f3, threatening checkmate. He might go queen e7. I mean, we should probably stick to common principles, right? Let's just play. There's no threat. With this move, I'll just come back. Yeah, let's just go here. Now, he needs the castle, probably. Definitely. Let's see what he does. We're up. No, we're not. He's up on time. Okay. So we have to start moving a bit faster. And the most important thing, I think, at beginner level is to understand what your opponent wants to do. After every move, asking yourself, what is my opponent's threat or what is their intention with this move? Sometimes a move doesn't have an intention. Sometimes it's just developing a piece. This move I don't understand. Firstly, we can take it, but then the queen takes, so it doesn't really do anything. We can't go to f3. We can go to h5 with the queen, threatening here, but it's defended. So for the minute, let's just maybe, yeah, let's just castle the king, I think. Safe. Maybe we put a rook on e1 if he leaves the king in the centre. Yeah, he wanted to attack the queen, but the problem is, and this is one of the hardest moves to see in chess, is a backwards knight move. So this knight, even though it looks forward and is standing in the centre, looking menacing, unfortunately we can take it with the knight, or we can take it with the queen actually. And if we take it with the queen, then we're also threatening this knight, so yeah, we can just do this. And now we're 2 bishops up, which is more than decisive, but the important thing is to know how to win. And one thing I noticed when playing the first 5 games, in order to get a rating, I was making moves which made no sense. I was trying to walk into checkmate just to get through them, just to get to a really low elo. And in the second to last game, the guy had 2 queens, and a knight, and some pawns, and a king, up ridiculous amounts of material, and he eventually got to checkmate, but it took quite a long time. And so I think it's important to show, when we get there, in some future video, show, and he just resigns. Okay, fair enough. I mean, yeah, he was down 2 bishops. But like I was saying, it's important to understand chess principles, sure, but also ways to win and how to win. So if we have a quick look through this game, let's load it in. I don't know if the overlay is going to look dodgy. No, I think it's okay. Just check. Yeah, that's fine.
Knight f3 develops the knight toward the center.
We don't want the speaker though. Thank you very much. Okay, so knight f3, like I said, develops. Bishop c5 is not a good move because we just take the pawn. This is not a great move. I mean, the computer wants d4. I think it was also sensible just to come back. Knight f6 is bad because of e5 with the fork, and like I said, what he could have done is gone here, pinning this pawn to the king, which means that we can't take this, or this. We can't take either, but my plan was to go queen e2. And this is still a fork because when the queen went here, it blocks the pin on the king, but it also reinforces pawn. So if he takes it with the bishop, the knight or the queen can take, we just win a piece for a pawn. So we forked, and he saw that he was losing material, so he just sacrificed the bishop, and we took with the knight. He went d5, which is an okay move, taking some central space, but like I said, d4 just reinforces our pawn center. He went knight e4, but like I said, I think it was just important. The computer wants some knight d2 or some bishop check. I don't understand, because c6, and then bring the bishop back. I guess the computer is saying that after the check, the pawn pushes up and the knight can no longer go to this square. But I think in general it's a pretty good idea to avoid bishop checks when you can just be swatted away with a pawn. So instead we just put the bishop on d3, developing a piece, preparing to castle. He moved the knight away, and yeah, computer wants queen h5, just eyeing this up, and also threatening to take the knight, I suppose, yeah. So queen h5, the knight will have to move or be protected. The knight can't move because of checkmate, so you'd have to go g6 to stop this, but then we just take the 3 knights, sure. I want to stick to common principles, so castles was fine, and yeah, this was just an oversight. If this knight was on this square, then, well, even then we would still take it backwards with the knight, but yeah, this is just an oversight because we can just take the bishop, and yeah, he resigned. So pretty swift first game. Yeah, let's play the second one. Okay, so we're searching for a new game. Here we go. We've got white again. Okay, fair enough. And I was going to stick to one game per video, but I think because the first game was so short and he resigned so early, I think it's useful for us to play a second one. And then we can hopefully play a whole game and play to checkmate. So this time, maybe let's play d4 and maybe play a London system, which is a really good opening for beginners to play. And he plays the Englund Gambit, which I don't know if he knows he's playing the Englund Gambit or he just pushed e5 and blundered a pawn. But okay, let's say, I mean, the Englund Gambit is complicated when you know what you're doing, but I think at this level this might just be a pawn blunder, so I'm going to call a bluff. Okay, he plays knight c6, attacking the pawn. We're going to go knight f3, defending the pawn. Mr. Al-Kharil from France. Let's see what he's got. He might go queen e7, attacking the pawn. I think that's okay. Okay, he's gone bishop to c5. Okay. So, well, same as in our last game, our priority is just to get the pieces out and to castle the king. So, we could go to e4 and take space that way. But I feel like this is probably the best move. We are just up a pawn at the end of the day. So, what to do? We could go d3, but that blocks in the bishop. We could go bishop f4 and then d3. Yeah, I kind of like that. Let's just go bishop f4. There's no sacrifice because he doesn't have enough pieces out yet. Over defending his pawn, so if he ever plays queen to e7, we don't have to worry too much. We also have moves like queen to d5, which hit the bishop and defend the pawn. Okay, he's checked me, but like I said, I think when you give checks with the bishop, but you can be kicked away and control some squares, I think it's always a good idea. So in this case, I'm just going to play c3 because it doesn't blunder anything. And also in the future, so now he has to move the bishop back, and also we can start expanding on this side of the board, and also it repels this knight away. When you have a pawn 3 knights away from a knight like this, so 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, it's good to notice how the knight is now repelled and you're controlling squares. Okay, so we could play b4, the bishop has to go back, and we could play a4, threatening to trap the bishop. Let's show that just as a pattern because it's useful. Let's go b4. A good pattern to remember, for sure. Now the bishop isn't necessarily trapped inherently because when he goes back and we play a4, he can just push the pawn up 1 square, maybe even 2 squares, creating a retreating route for the bishop. Let's play a4. He has to go here or here. And he doesn't, which means that this now traps the bishop. And what he'll probably do is either sacrificing is bad, so he'll probably take on f2, right? And this is very well defended. We might trade queens as well, so it doesn't really matter because this is protected. My queen is defended by the king. At the end of the day, we're trapping a bishop, which is the most important thing. If he takes, then takes. Okay, he took first. Now we can just trade the queens, I think. Okay. We can even go. Okay. We can even go. Maybe we should have actually just taken the bishop first, because now this bishop is under attack. Trying to play too fast. We can go here, which creates this threat. If we go here, we can also go here. I feel like we should probably go here. Because now we threaten this. He doesn't see it, so... Well, when I took the pawn, the bishop now sees this square, this juicy G7 square. And when you can land a bishop here, and the rook is still trapped in on its starting square, the rook is actually trapped. My plan was after he pushes, I can either move the bishop or take. I'm going to be losing the bishop either way. Well, I want to take this bishop, right? So if he pushes his pawn to this square, I can take a bishop, but then he would take my bishop. So he pushes. Maybe I would have taken the pawn first, then he recaptures, and then we recapture a bishop. So we trade bishops, but then I win a pawn at the same time. But after he's done this, we actually have a choice. We can. Let's just go here because this is free and this is free. But this way we're just winning the rook by force, and the bishop is still trapped. The knight can't move. The knight can't do any danger. His light squared bishop, so this one can't do anything, and this is just under blunder because we can just recapture. Let's do. So it's a bit tricky because if we take this way, or if we take his bishop and he takes the knight, then we just recapture the knight, I suppose. Yeah. So let's just take. Let's just take the rook because he will now recapture. If he takes here, we can just do this. He takes here, sure. And yes, he's now trying to threaten this move, which he would have been doing if he took on this square, defending this, or threatening this, but right material, so we could have just moved the king and defended the c2 square. Now this is a super common pattern which you definitely have to see at beginner level, the knight fork, which attacks the rook and the king at the same time. But unfortunately, this square is defended 2 times, once by the bishop and once by the knight. Let's just get a bishop out. I need to start playing faster as well. We're down half his time, so I need to start playing faster. This doesn't have a threat. He might go here, so let's just push the pawn. Protect f5. He'll go bishop g4, sure, and we can just go here, defend this knight. So when he takes it, we can recapture. And taking is not good for him because he's down material. He might long castle. He does. And let's move this bishop. He's attacking the bishop with a rook. We could long castle. We could long castle, but we could also go here, which attacks the knight, pins it to the rook. He has to move the rook probably, and then we can just take it. So, and there's no threat as well, because it's important to see that when we move this bishop, this rook becomes open, but there's no square for it to go to, no useful square. I guess he could go to d3. Here, he goes here. We can just defend the knight, I suppose. Or let's just go here. If he goes here and takes, or if he goes here, we take his knight, he takes our knight, we castle, we're up. A rook and a bishop, rook and 2 bishops. Yeah, so my plan was just to take this, we'll take this, and we castle. He takes the bishop, he just loses an exchange. So yeah, now we can just castle. He takes this is not good because the pawn can recapture, obviously, and he doesn't want to take too many of my pieces because he only has a rook left. So now my plan, he's kind of attacking this, but it's defended by the bishop backwards like this. And now I see a king, weak back rank. I'm going to put the rook right here, and this will be checkmate. So what he needs to do is probably play a move like c6 or b6 to try and create space. Because if he takes this, I'm not ever going to take the rook. Yeah, so he does. Now, there is a fancy rule in chess called en passant, which means that when this pawn moves 2 squares, if there's a pawn that's next to it, like this one, we can actually recapture the pawn backwards. But we don't really need to do that. I actually think it's probably better to push the pawn and take away the square that he was trying to create for his king. He still can't take our pawn on b4 because it's defended by the bishop. If he goes to king b8, it doesn't help yet, and this doesn't do anything because rook to d8 is checkmate. Okay, so quick review of the game. We played with 91.2% accuracy, which is nice. We did make a mistake. I did realise we made a mistake because he could take this. So basically, he put his bishop here, which is just bad because we can just take it, obviously. His idea though is if we take it, he takes, and if we take the rook, there's some check here, but obviously we can just recapture here. So I overcomplicated it a little bit by taking here because he can take, and he went here to threaten this, but unfortunately this square is covered by the bishop and the knight. But if he went here, this is something to keep an eye on because this is now a threat. It doesn't matter too much because we are already up. We have a rook and a bishop. So it doesn't even really matter if we allow this fork, but there's no point in allowing complications if it's not necessary. So probably what we should have done is just taken on this square. If he takes, we take. The rook is still under attack. A whole piece, and he would maybe have to go f6 to block like this. But then we can just start pushing the pawns, developing our pieces, and castle the king and win the game. So let's go all the way back. To the start we played d4. I was going to play a London system, which is when he played bishop f4, but he played the Englund Gambit. And maybe he knew what he was doing, but maybe I think also he just blundered a pawn. So he moved the knight to attack the pawn. We developed our knight to defend the pawn. He brought the bishop out. The computer wants knight c3. Sure. We went bishop f4 just to get a piece out, over defend the pawn. He went bishop b4. And like I said, when they check with a bishop like this, but it can be blocked with a pawn, it's usually a good idea. Like I said, because now also this knight is sort of propelled away. And we played b4, and he went back, and I did this just to show the pattern, and yeah, he lost his bishop. And then we traded the queens. We went through this whole sequence, trapping the rook. Should have taken. And we overcomplicated it a little bit, but then he planted another knight, so we just took some space, defended our knight with the bishop, so it damaged the structure. He shouldn't be trading because he's down material anyway, so. And then, yeah, this was the best move, because when he goes here, he takes, we castle, and we just up a rook and two bishops. And I saw immediately that this was a mating square, so I put the rook on d1, he pushed, bishop g4 is some checkmate in a few moves, but a6 is also fine, because he can play now c5. But yeah, this move just blunders, checkmate. And that concludes the first episode of the intermediate speedrun. I hope you guys learned something. If you did, then hit subscribe, because then you can follow the speedrun in the future as well. I'm hoping the production quality was not too bad. I'm wearing AirPods to record the audio, and I'm recording with a webcam on my laptop. But hey, I think it's more important to play good chess. And yeah, I guess I'll see you guys in the next video. Press like, share with your friends, do all that stuff. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.